me precious little chicklets, my little darlings. Are you Kay? Are you Kelsey? Kelsey. Got, we know that Kelsey being my mod has to have this.
Dum, 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 darling, I love you. Dum, dum, darling, I love you.
There we go. So, hello, Stu Infinity. I think it was more the impression I got. It wasn't Shadow that was in bed with Marty. Marty was definitely trying to get into bed with Shadowboxer, from what I can see. I got in towards the end of it and thought, what? The live has been taken down by YouTube. It's not that Shadowboxer's taking it down. He'd have no reason to have taken it down because it was actually Marty was basically kissing up to him all the way. Well, for the bit I saw towards the end there was Marty on, and there was this other fellow. This other fellow was giving Shadowboxer grief, but Marty was all very, oh yes, and all this, and it just stood out to me. I thought, this is it, because I had me doubts about this Marty fella. I don't know what it is. I've said this to people in the past. I don't know how I do it. I don't know. It's just that because I had to go through life knowing I had to be wary of situations I was in because I'm different and could be attacked for being different. I don't know if that makes me hypersensitive, but I can usually tell or get a feeling about someone and think I'd be very wary around them. I wouldn't feel comfortable with them. And Marty gave out those vibes to me when he was going on the shows saying, how he was taken in by Decker and all this. And things he was saying also, this is another big thing. If you listen to people, actually listen to them and don't listen just for what you want to hear, which I think this is the big thing that goes on YouTube. People only listen to what they want to hear. And they'll ignore any signals or anything that's being said that might argue against their opinion on someone. Well, when Decker, and I'm no fan of Decker, as everyone knows, was talking about, are your age, lovely? When Decker was talking about Marty, he was going on about now most probably a lot of it is going to be a lot of lies and all this. But when he was talking about this pimping young women out, he said in it, he just turned around and said, well, it's the holiday season now, blah, blah, so we can't. And I thought that is something that if you were lying, you wouldn't think to be putting in there. It was just a little thing, and I thought, I don't know, and again, waiting for the police having to take statements all the time. You think, you quickly work out what you were being told. And I got that from Marty. I thought there's a story going on here that you're not hearing. And so when people were putting them on the shows, are you Maria? Tucker? Oh no, let's get this cleared up. Because people are getting confused about this, Tucker. Glad you asked that. No, me and Craig are friends. I just wind him up and he winds me up. It's all anyone that knows me knows I can be a bitch. So can he. We're both bitches, in other words. We wind each other up by bitching. It's like I have a go at JPD, but it's busting the balls. That's what they call it, don't you? Busting the balls. It's that. See, that's it. When people think that, I think I'm a woman and all this business, I can be very masculine in me sense of humor at times and things like that, and the way I speak. So, I am genuinely both. Let's put it that way. I've got a lot of femininity about me. But as you can see, I'm gorgeous. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. A Swarovski pearls, not cheap. You'll only get these if you're a bad girl, if you know what I mean. Swarovski pearls. Yes. And how are you, Jock me? So, but then I can show my masculine side. And that's and that side of it. And that's all that's happening between me and What's his name? Oh, Rach, what's that fella's name that you know? The one, he claims to be a comedian. What's his name again? God, I can't remember. I haven't got, oh God, I can never remember his name. What is it? I can't remember. It will come to me eventually. But is he? He's offering me sexual favours. Oh God, he's disgusting. Anyway, let's just pretend that's not being asked to me, right? Well, do you know what? This wife, Marty's, let's just get it. I haven't actually explained to people what it was. Marty has been doing the rounds. This karate Marty was in with Decker, wasn't he? And suddenly he turned on Decker like most people do and starts doing the rounds. But we can tell because Humble's spoken about it. And I've had this Humble before. Stop just thinking that because someone doesn't like Decker that they clean themselves. But apparently you turn around and you say, I don't like Decker, the sun shines out your ass. That's the golden rule. You can have a horrendous history worse than Decker, but as long as you say you don't like Decker, the sun shines out your ass. Anyway, so that's what sort of got Marty to turn on Decker. And he started doing the rounds, because it's like clickety-click, 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 clickety-click. Click-to-click, nothing wrong with click-to-click as long as you're honest about it, like Video Craig is, and that's why I'm so friendly with Video Craig, because he doesn't hide what he's about. Others do. Others coming out with this cack that they're trying to expose this great horror and get him off the internet. They're talking through the hoops. Talking right through the hoops. They are. It's just as many clicks as they can get. And the biggest devastation that can happen is if Decker suddenly vanished off the internet. But whereas Craig's honest about it, he doesn't pretend he's doing something moralistic or on some campaign, which I respect him for. Anyway, so next thing, Marty pops up last night on Shadowboxers. Now remember, this is the Marty that say, "Oh, I didn't know about Deck and all this business." And I'll go on to this. Did he know about Deck on my backside? He didn't know. I'm getting as bad as that JPD talking about bottoms and arses all the time. I'll have to stop us. But it's he suddenly went on there. Now suddenly he's going to turn around and say he didn't know about Shadowbox. What was being said about Shadowboxer? Is this going to be the next get me out of jail card he's playing, or is he just playing everyone for idiots? It was too much in your face what he did last night, and it was like, is he taking it? Because one person he's put in a bad position as far as I'm concerned is NFG. Because I thought that was odd to NFG doing that. I thought, why is this? And I pulled Expo in a funny way about it. Expo was trying to be careful and not insult Marty, but saying what needed to be said, that he didn't trust Marty. But I wish Expo should said it in a more harsh way. But I don't think NFG was going to allow that to happen. And of course, NFG's getting the clicks now. I said to NFG last night, I let him know, I said, you do know your mate. Or not your mate, I said, you do know that Marty fella's on Shadowboxers kissing his hoop. But I never got a response. So this is what I'm saying. It's all, and this leads to one thing that I've gone on about for years, and I've got personal experience of this. People doing this, not looking. Only look, being tunnel vision. I don't like that person, that horrible Decahegi. I don't like him. So anyone that appears to like him, that comes over to our side, come over to the light, that way, then suddenly they're not looked into. No, you look into them as well. And you look into the discrepancies that come out with what I was saying before. Are you holding? Oh, God, that sounds so formal, doesn't it? Are you owning, I should say, shouldn't I? I'll let you know now, Rach. Yeah, the thing is, right, you've got to look for what someone's not saying or if something isn't fixing together. Look, you've got this man who invited Decker over there, who was friends with Decker. You tell me you never heard anything about Decker. And then he's saying that Decker's disrespecting his wife. I'll say something about that in a minute. Right, disrespecting his wife by, not treating. But he was allowing all this to happen. He was quite content for Decker to do that to his wife, wasn't he? Question mark, lights, there's something not quite right with what this person is saying. Am I extremely intelligent, or is everyone else extremely stupid? But the first thing I think is I'd want to know this person's background. Has anyone asked Marty for his SAR, seeing as everyone's got to produce their Acro SAR now? Has anyone else seen it? No. Has anyone looked into him? No. They haven't, have they? And that's the whole point, doing this. And then, look, I had this years ago, spoken about this before in the past, right? I had this years ago over this VIP, pedos and palms and all that, when Shark Fest started. Everyone was feeding. And they said, you're all getting distracted here. And it really was the situation which was horrendous. And that's why I moved out of. I thought I don't want anything to do with these scumbags anymore. And I include so-called who claim to be survivors in this. What they did was unforgivable. I said, you might as well just get someone, an old man in his 70s, to come up to you and say, I was abused when I was a child. And then on the other side, a child to come up to you and, child pulling on you and saying, I'm being abused now. And you turn around and say to the child, oh, go away, we'll get to you later. We need to deal with this old man whose abuse happened 50 years ago. We have to deal with him first. You can wait. That's exactly what happened, people. That's exactly what happened. Children that were being abused at the time and still now were ignored. They were blanked in favour of, oh my God, we can get in the papers if we talk about what happened 50 years ago in this care home or what happened in this nunnery. Yet they are important, get round to them. But the thing is, you don't go. Can you imagine the fire service? If when the house is blazing, they turn around and say, oh, no, wait a minute, we've just got to go to this one that was on fire 2 days ago. Even though it's out and there's no danger there anymore, we'll just say go and attend that first. Then we'll get round to attending this blaze that's going on now. And that's what happens. And if I sound annoyed by this, I was annoyed and still angry to this day about the way so-called survivors, a lot of them, did that. We can get to them later. We need to deal with these important people. Why? Because they thought they'd get in the papers. And that's all that it meant. And they said, you're an idiot. The papers aren't going to listen to you, which they didn't. They were all had, and you know what? They deserved to be had because they were stupid and they were willing to leave children who are suffering now to get on with it. So that's me sounding angry, and I'm angry. But this, what I'm turning around to say is that no one was asking Marty about his background. Was Decker telling the truth about it? I suppose Decker is telling lies, but I get the sensation some things Decker is saying is the truth. That's the feeling I get, and I just get the sensation from this Marty that he'll do a disappearing act if paperwork is asked for. He knew about Decker. He knew all about Decker. Is he going to say now he didn't know about Shadowboxer? Is that going to be, I'll say, the next one? Oh, I didn't know. You see, this is it. It's all absolute cack. But anyway, to answer you, to just answer Rachel's question, well, oh yes, my fair, well, I was given this. Yes, the king of Siberia gave me this. Yeah, I danced for the king and queen of Siberia, and they gave me this. It's a thingy creature thing that lives in Siberia. Very rare, and it's only given to exceptionally talented autistic people. That's where that came from. And yes, see how wonderful, see how privileged you are having someone as important as me and special as me, that the king and queen of Siberia give me presents like this for being a wonderful person. That's why I got it. Anyway, Just looking at the chat, see if I can pick it or anyone's asking me something. Because you know what I'm like, I'm talking away and I'm not looking at the chat. Oh, God, Mark, yeah. I think Mark used Decker for some type of, publicity thinking he could control them and it backfired. Exactly, Mark. I'll read this out again. Mark has got it to the point here. I think Martin has used Decker for some type of publicity, thinking he could control him, and it backfired badly when Decker arrived and showed his true colours. Martin is just as much to blame, exactly. But who does what? Has Martin got a background? I've got a funny feeling he has. Oh, just the people, right? Only a couple people, not loads. Wait, annoyed because I turned around and put a poll up yesterday about Martin and whether he could be trusted. And one of the things I put in it was a man who goes, can you trust a man who goes, never trust a man who goes to the Philippines to buy himself a wife. Come on, are you kidding me? I'm not cacking around with anyone here, right? Show me how many women go over, Western women. How many Western women go over to the Philippines to marry a Filipino man? I don't see any. But tell me how many Western men, usually old men, go over to the Philippines to get a young wife. We know everyone knows what's got. These women are brought up, a lot of them, not all of them. There's some very advanced, progressive women in the Philippines. But if you're from a poor family, the fact is you're going to be brought up to be a servant to your husband. Was it a whore in the bedroom, a culinary goddess in the kitchen, and bring up the kids and stop them annoying daddy? We all know that's a fact. We all know that's a fact. That happens. Same with some of these Russian women. They're brought up to be subservient. Yes, you're my master. You're me have babies and all this. I'm going to have your babies. I'm going to make sure you're well fed. I'm going to clean your crap up when you need to clean. Oh, Lord and Master. We know that's what happens. So people who are getting offended get more offended that these poor girls are brought up to be like that subservient. What's this? I asked DH to show paperwork before he came over to Ireland. Why didn't he get him to prove himself? Yeah, but that's it, Ronan. He didn't care. I say, is it Mark? I'm hoping I've got your name right. That's just put it succinctly. He was thinking, I'll get something out of this. Then suddenly Humble's on to, and it's like, and of course, Humble's not thinking, shall I check this person's background? No. None of them were. JDP wasn't thinking that. Video Craig wasn't thinking that. None of them were thinking that. As they actually got something on him. And this is the thing. You've got to think. Check it out. This is what I'm saying. That's why I got so passionate before about this whole VIP thing that happened in the past. What is people? It's the door opens up, and I predicted this. And this wasn't me using a crystal ball. This was me using bloody common sense, which back then no one seemed to have, or very few people seemed to have. I didn't have to predict this. I knew what happened. I said, you're opening the doorway, so that all that's going to happen is that one of these pedos is going to, and I'm not relating this to Martin. I'm not saying he's a pedo. Just let's make that clear. I'm talking about a situation where people were listening. And I said, all that you've got to do is open that doorway. And I said, one of them's going to slip in there for protection and to be shielded, because the hiding place for people like them are usually children's charities, blah, 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 blah. That's where they go to hide away. So that if a suspicion comes on them, it's like, oh, but look, I work for the NSPCC. Don't even get me started on the NSPCC. I work for this place. I've worked for this children's charity. So it deflects. That's exactly what happened. They started protecting someone and promoting them. And he turned out to be one. And then the whole house of cards came crashing down, which I predicted it would. I said, you're going to all go. And that's exactly what did happen. So you have to listen. You don't just open the door and say, oh, you don't like Decca Heggie. So come on, let's talk to you. Someone said this the other day, and people have said this in the past. Just because you don't like Decca Heggie doesn't give you a free card that anything you've done in the past, you get out of jail on. But that's what happens in some courses. You've just got to say, I don't like Decca Heggie. And that's it. Now, no one knows what this man has got on his record, do they? No one knows what the hell he's got on his record. But he does tell porcupines. And that's what I'm saying to you. You know, you have to be extremely careful. Now, I'm loving this, how you can ban people from where I am. Kelsey, anyone coming out with nonsense, just ban them outright. But yeah, this is it. You just have us so that you listen, because you don't know what you're letting in. How do you know he's not worse than Decker? He could be. He could be. Oh, Angus, stop saying use. You doesn't have a plural in the English language. Yeah, that's what Kelsey said. If Martin just said, yeah, I wanted to make money from it, so took my chances, then people would believe him more than just flat denying he ever had any doubts about Decker at all. And it was just naive. He wasn't naive. He wasn't naive. He knew. And I say what he did last night, he's just made a really bad move. That's what he's done. But it's showing up a lot of people now who are eager to have him on. And I'm going to say it, NFG was having a go at Bidjo Craig. Yeah, NFG now has opened himself to the accusation that he was using Martin for clicks. And everyone had to be so nice to Martin when he was on. Marty has got a GoFundMe to get a new washing machine for his missus. See, this is a exact. Just let me read that bit again, Johnny. Right? Marty has got a GoFundMe to get a new washing machine for his missus. So naturally, her being a woman, she has to do the washing, not him. Now tell me that I'm being racist, saying that happens with these women, that they're brought up to be servants and slaves to the men. There we are. It's naturally presumed she's going to be the one that needs the washing machine, because Decker knocked the both out of the machine with around the clock washing. But I thought that Decker, she was doing the washing, wasn't she? See what I mean? Yeah, so I think it's just, isn't it, Solway? It's just something that gives out this is not a person that's as innocent as he is. He's playing a game, or trying to play a game. That's a possibility. I don't think Martin is as bad as Decker makes out, but I'm convinced he's up to no good. I gather you meant there, out there and going on every channel possible. Has done him no favours. It's not only done him no favours, it's done the people who he's going on no favours. He's really showed them up for what they're doing. We've been saying this. This is just like, we can get clicks out of this. Great, here we go. Oh, I don't like Decker. Oh, here we go. We'll get him on there. Doesn't like Decker. What is so, do you know what? It's just getting, as I said the other day, you need to really step back and look at this. It's strange how Decker's he's become this cult figure. He really has become a cult. He's been made a cult by the way it's going on, by drawing attention to him. And it's just look. I had to laugh. I don't know whether you've seen it, but it was funny. What name does he use? Narrative Destroyer. Was dead funny. He did a couple of videos, but he did one on Uncle Bobby, because Uncle Bobby, which I'd only said the day before, Uncle Bobby was doing a video about Decker, and he's walking down the street with a. Let's see if I can find it, with a carrier bag, and Narrative Destroyer just ripped him a new arsehole. He really did, and I don't blame Narrative, because Narrative got it spot on. It was just getting ridiculous. Oh, we want to expose the man, but I'm going to talk about, oh my God, look at this. He was walking down the road with a carrier bag. Let's see if I can get Narrative, because it was so funny. It was the way he just said it. But this is it. I've been saying this all the while. They're just making it. But trying to cover it like they're trying to expose and get this man off the internet. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're just using them to build their own channels. And that's the end of the argument. Talk about him when he does something that you need to talk about. But don't talk about him walking down the road with a carrier bag, which I said the day before, said if he belches the wrong way, if he looks sideways, it's like that's becoming a reaction video now. Well, let's see. I'm getting there. I hope Narrative just mind me showing this. But yeah, it just that it was so funny the way Narrative said it. He got it really down today. He got it spot on what he said. But he was funny the way he said it. Let's see. I want to get this. Share screen. But this just made me giggle at it. Here we go.
Hello, people. I just want to call out some hypocrisy while I'm here. Like, this guy, man, he comes across so fucking smug, though. You know what I mean? Like, and he. Hello, Decker. You copied that off me, man. The talking to the. I can see right through you, man. You're a culture vulture, man. You just look to see what's going on, like, and you follow it.
Oh, where's it going on?
And by the way, this is.
Where's the carrier bag bit? That made me laugh.
And yeah, that's all I've got to say tonight.
You know that then, like when that Decker recording, you could tell it was fake. You could tell it was fake, but this, like,
I just want to get to the bit where he says about that.
Yeah, let's have a look at the bigger picture, man. Let's have a look at that bigger picture.
In the Philippines, on his own, not a friend in the world, wandering round, looks like a shopping mall of some kind, outdoors. I noticed he's got a carrier bag in his hand. So he's living day to day, innit?
Fucking hell, man. You're living day to day, looking at what he's got in his hand. He's got a carrier bag in his hand, and you call that news? How he's walking around today.
Oh, God, I just thought that was funny the way... Oh, no, that was funny narrative. It was funny the way he said that. I'll put a link to that there if anyone wants to watch it, but it's just the way he said it. He walked around. That was just, oh, good God. That made me giggle. That did. Oh, he's walking around with and it's like, oh, that's the latest news on the decade. Just looking here. Does anyone want to come on for a quick chat? I won't keep it going too long because I'm getting in trouble with StreamYard because I have the free one and let's say invite. But it'll only be quick talk. see if anyone else. Yeah, that's it. 15 minutes of fame. I'll build my channel. There's something really distasteful about it when you consider it. I mean, people do need to be outed if they are a danger. Of course, they do need to be outed, but it's turned over into an industry in its own thing where it's not about outing. It's just about away with all this. But people want it for some reason. I can't work it out. Oh, hey, right, I'm going to do something here, right? I'm going to let him on for a quick talk about Martin, but that's it. Because I'm going to get in trouble doing this one. Here we go, go on. Go
I
on.
don't
Now tell me
believe
what
Anne.
happened last night. That's what I want to know.
I'm blushing. I have
Can't
a
hear you.
crush. I have a crush, Anne.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Hello? Can
Can't
you hear me? Jesus, this is awful. We finally meet and you can't hear me.
Oh, can I hear you? Let's see. Might be me.
It is you.
Oh, I can hear you, yeah. So what
how's
happened
love-
last night?
Karate Marty.
Yeah. Why was he on your show kissing your ass?
He seems to get on with everyone, doesn't he? He's the man about town.
So-
there's my other pal. I fell out with you, Holden. I fell out with you.
I don't give a fuck. To be honest with you, I don't care about who falls
You
out
had
with me.
you had the interview of the year set up.
Well,
and it fell apart.
I'm not one for releasing information from the background. I don't really like
You
doing that.
did release information.
But one thing I'll say is my channel isn't to make somebody look good. My channel is about, if people want to come on, is about the truth. The truth, yeah. So I'm not, a few standout points for what we talked about behind the scenes. I'm not going to be releasing that, but I said I felt disappointed. Yeah, I felt that
the live stream. Okay,
just like Marty.
Understand your point.
Just,
but did you
just
watch
like
the whole live stream?
Let him talk. Let him talk.
Just like Marty has used DH Voldemort for to boost his profile, I do believe that you've seen an opportunity with DH. And I said to you behind the scenes, if you get involved with this guy, it's not going to make you look innocent. It's going to make you look guilty.
Yeah, I was arranging to have a fight with him. I was setting him up.
Hey, well, wait a minute, though. Let's get off that situation, right? Because I'm not going into that shadow, right? All this, I want to know what the hell happened. How did Martin just appear on your show last night, or were you in contact with each other behind the scenes?
Marty is watching everybody now. He has now got the Deca Heggy bug. He's a fan. He watches everybody. He's online. I was saying, Marty, if you're out there, I was trying to contact aliens. I was like, Marty, if you're out there, contact me. And sure enough, Marty came in the chat, and then we gave him the StreamYard, and then we kicked on. It was a grand interview, but we were just rehashing everything everyone knew. There was no new information.
What was happening, what I saw happening there, and this is why straight away I thought, there's something going on here, was him, for some strange, I can't work out what was going on in his head, because he just done NFG, which was cringy. Sorry, NFG, it was cringy. Everyone had to be nice to him. And then suddenly he appears on yours, and I thought, he's just gone. Do you know what? I don't know, Ronan. Let's run this one past you. Would you think that Marty actually might still be in with Deca, and that he did this to sort of upset the cart with the others? Because what it's done by him appearing with Shadowboxer doing that, it's just upturned the cart on NFG and a lot of them, and made them look idiots.
I think a lot of people now that are involved in this year are probably all rats. I wouldn't trust any of them with any information. I think that it's possible that he's still in with him, but who knows? It doesn't actually really make a difference. If he is, he's definitely putting himself in the firing line for being completely destroyed. Maybe he feels like he's in the Philippines and he's protected, but I don't think so. I don't think he's in with him. I think Voldemort is that immature. He would stay in a person's house for 8 weeks, use all the facilities, use his wife as a slave. And Marty allowed that, by the way. Let's not take that away. Marty allowed that.
Yeah.
And if it's true, and he would slag you at the end of it. So look, at the end of the day, right? Let's not talk about the conspiracy. The fact is, right, a guy went into his house, used, as he said, used his wife as a slave. He allowed that, and everybody's saying that Marty would beat Deck in a fight. Well, one of the things is if a man treats your woman like shit, there's nothing more to have a scrap over than that. So, I think maybe it's all just smoke and mirrors. I think maybe it's just egos now. And the fact is, you had an adult baby travel to the Philippines, go into somebody's house, use all the facilities, treat his wife like a slave, and that man put up with it. So, look, that's demoralizing enough, isn't it?
Well, this is it. This is what I was saying about him. He went on and he goes on about his wife being treated like this, which he apparently knew about. Well, why didn't he take action there and then? And we just saw, excuse me, that thing from Johnny buying a washing machine for his wife. Now, any progressive woman, if a man turns around to her and says, "Oh, I've done the washing up for you, I've hoovered the carpet for you," she'd quite rightly rip her new arsehole for saying that. "Oh, it's my job. I was born to do those jobs, was I?" And that's the fact about it. So you can see it's all.
We're talking about the Philippines, so they're about 30 years behind in regards to progressiveness. But this situation, Voldemort is feeding off everybody. That's why I'm just going to reference the Shadow Boxer here again. That's why when I had a conversation with him behind the scenes, obviously we spoke about a lot. I'm not about releasing information about what we talked about. I would never, even if we hated each other, I wouldn't do that. But I says to him, look, this geezer is going to use you and abuse you. He does not give one F about you. He doesn't care if you're living or dead. He's just going to use you for content. And in some respects, I think you, Shadow Boxer, were trying to do that with him too. But the gravity of the situation, this is I was involved in this for 2 years. I know how deplorable this guy is. There is no levels he will not sink to. Do you know what I mean?
You on the phone call, everything you said, I thought was now that's a bit outrageous. The fight is set up. I thought he'd honor his word, but you were right. He had no intentions of fighting me. He didn't care how I got the money. Poor old Shadow Boxer as well. He probably thought, well, nobody likes the Shadow Boxer. I'll fucking rip him off. So he did everything you said. I agree with you, but look, I'm chasing a dream. I'm trying to build the content. I'm hoping this helps me towards my main goal, which we know is clearing my name. You think this is hindering me a lot, but behind the scenes, I have got myself out there public, and I have had contact with good people that's going to help me. I want to be secure when I have this big day coming up. So me getting my face out there has helped me, even though it doesn't look like it.
Wait a minute. This isn't that way for your show, right? This isn't that way for your show. I'm still, still shocked by what you got onto in Phuket. So, but what I want to ask this is, what happens, Shadow, if...
Before you go further, do you want some sort of an apology from me? Do you want me to give you some sort of answer?
No, because I think, right, well, no, what I'm going to say, this is all I'm going to say in the master. I think you heard me say this before. You're the one that's hammered yourself there, because I tell you now, any appeal that you go to, if they see that, you basically confirmed everything that you're accused of.
No, very important. You got to look at it on the other side of the coin. That man you seen that night, if he was like that on this date he went on, the girl in question would have said, no, this is the perfect lad to set up. She knew my whole life, all my convictions. This is the perfect lad to set up.
No. Right, let the courts decide that. The fact is, I saw what went on in Phuket, and what I saw confirmed everything you were accused of, and you couldn't have set yourself up better. Actually, we should be pleased that you did it in one way, only that the way women who are having to put up with your vile behaviour and those men having to put up with your behaviour. But all that I'll say on this matter is, right, that's for you to deal with when you go to appeal, because I think if I was the solicitor and I saw that, or the barrister would say, look, let's wrap it up now. Bye-bye, see you, because you're just wasting my time, you're wasting the court's time. Because if that's played in court, it's going to be to hell with you. So anyway, Ronan, what else do you want to say on this? Not so much about Shadow, but about this situation with Marty. What are the feelings you get from Marty?
Well, I smelled a rat straight away. I'm not going to lie to you, but maybe it's just me being in this game now for 2 years. I can see the bullshit. Like, I know exactly what to look for. I smelled a rat automatically. I told people behind the scenes I wouldn't trust this guy as far as I could throw him. I think any fella, and this isn't generalizing because I know a lot of people move across the world just for a better life, but if you look at the Philippines, Cambodia, these places, you know, they've got the highest cases of trafficking of just people in general. So it's like, well, should I say shipping now? I have to say human shipping because they're bringing in a new law where you can't even say that word and the whole stream will get shut down. So human shipping, I'll retract that. Human shipping. It's got the highest cases of human shipping in the world. You can get away with a lot. It's 30 years behind. You can treat women like shit. You can do whatever you want. And I think just on that basis alone, you know, without digging into his life too much, it's none of my business. But let's call a spade here. You had a guy who is convicted of a sexual assault, 2 rape allegations, and an allegation of kitty fiddling in Voldemort, going over to a country with the highest cases of child shipping and child slavery and women's slavery in the world, to meet up with a guy who was already in that demographic that knew everything about him, that's saying now that he didn't. So on that basis alone, I have to call absolute bullshit and everything that both of these guys are saying.
Yeah.
I think they're throwing each other under the bus. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. And I think actually all in all now, it's I would agree with the narrative destroyer on one thing, that this is the Voldemort content industry. That's, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, because as long as you're honest about that, like you've got the likes of Video Craig, who's honest. He says, look, I'm building a channel off the back of this guy. I'm going to use him for money. But it's the people at the side saying, I'm doing this for the greater good, the moral, social justice warrior. But actually, they're not. They're just doing it because they want to build the channel. And that's okay. That's okay too. It's none of my business. But I don't trust anybody new coming into this scenario that's getting involved with Voldemort is going to be a rat. And that's the way I see it.
I think the thing with it is that when there's something to talk about, it's like when he was doing his lives, and I thought he's just blatantly lying to people here to make fools of them, see how far he can take them, then make a video. But as narrative, and I love that was so funny what narrative did when he said you're talking about a shopping bag. He's walking around with a shopping bag. That just summed it up for me perfectly. It's like, this is how nonsensical it's got, and of course people are watching it, and if there's a audience for it, I mean, I'm not going to hammer Uncle Bobby, because at least Uncle Bobby in the early days was one of the first ones to start.
I have to sort of have Bobby's back here just a little bit, because I think what Bobby tried to do in that video was bring something different, because you've got Video Craig doing something different. You have the Humble Dryer. You have all these people. You've got yourself who does things a little bit different. And I suppose he wanted to review it a little bit different and speak about different things. But in the process of doing that, what he's done is he's just narrated and somebody's living their life, going through a shopping mall. I think there's lots of views in the Voldemort industry right now, and people have clicked onto that. I'm not going to get at them for it. All I'll say is anybody that wants to make content on him, you're possibly facilitating a narcissistic, sociopathic beast that has no respect for women and just sees them as objects. And you're once he's gone, because he will be in prison at some stage of his life, or he won't be here anymore. I can see that coming very soon. That then your content will dry up, and you'll lose about 1,000 subscribers, because people will not want to tune in to hear what you have to say. So it's actually counterproductive to a channel to even speak about this guy.
Yeah, I think what it is, but it's I say, if Video Craig's listening, stop telling your mates to start doing reaction videos a decade, because guess what? That's losing you business. One of them could end up being more of a catch and interested in you. Like this is it, Roland. He doesn't understand the first thing about the entertainment industry. You don't go giving other people the chance to take your sweeties
Yeah, but
away
Craig
from
can't be
you.
ruthless. Craig can't be ruthless because he has a background. All he's doing is trying to be nice.
No, he's nice, Craig. He's not. He's
trying to be nice. He's trying to be nice.
No,
he's not ruthless enough.
Craig's lovely, is he?
Yeah, he is lovely, and he's sorry. He's sorry.
He's not all that nice. You haven't had the conversations I've had with the little bitch behind the scenes. He's not all that nice. Not all the time. He can be a little bitch when he wants to be. I tell you now. But anyway, so just read see if there's any.
Just on the. I have to speak about that on the comedy front, right? Like obviously, Video Craig came onto my channel 2 years ago. He got absolutely destroyed. But what I done to him, I should have done to the DH podcast, and what I done to DH, you should have done to Video Craig, right? It was the opposite way about. But you have to understand, right, that you are both right about that. He can't apologize for being in a comedy setting saying terrible things because people laughed at that. They facilitated that behavior. Now, if nobody laughed at that joke, then yes, 100%. But this is like, I don't agree. I don't listen to that type of comedy. If I was there, I'd be like, Jesus, mate, that's a wee bit too far, because the parents could see that. But you can't apologize for being a comedian. Even though it was wrong for what he said, you cannot apologize for being a comedian, because then you're going to go after Frankie Boyle. What do you call that new guy that's coming on the scene? He's got the one-liners. I went through a rabbit hole last night in TikTok of all his comedy, and he's brutal, way more brutal than Video Craig and Frankie Boyle put together. So
Ronan, he wasn't big enough to do that joke. That joke was too big.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
He wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
If he had a fan base that already loved him, he could have pulled it off, but there was no way he was pulling that joke off. You said people laughed at that joke. It was a couple of laughs, maybe a couple of his friends. I thought it bombed. I thought it was awful, and I do comedy.
Hey, well, what it is, you allegedly do comedy. Still waiting to hear it. It's something funny, like. But anyway, I've gone over this before.
Lovely.
I've gone over this before about Craig, and I've said it before. Now, I say I'd get on with Craig, but it's only because I've learned what he is. You've got to take it. He's not, how can I put it with Craig? He can be very juvenile, but I think there's more going on there than ADHD. I think he's sort of like, he's very childlike in a lot of ways. And you've got to say, well, you've got to adapt to that. I think you can't take him on face value. But as for the jokes, as I said at the time, he was doing the fishbowl and he was caught up in that. In other words, the little fishies, and lots of people do this on YouTube. You see it all the time on YouTube, especially. You get a group of people come together doing lives and whatever, and they're all in a little fishbowl swimming around, and they're all thinking each other is wonderful. So they start getting, one tries to outdo the other one, and one tries to outdo the other one. They go up and up and up and progressing it. Then suddenly they hear this. And they look and they see that there's a whole world watching them. And that world doesn't see things the same way they do. And so then it's like, oh, crap. And what Craig was in that situation, he was in a situation, a comedy club. And the way people laughing at each other, the way people laughing at it, he said people left the club. But he thought, oh, wait, I'm going to get shock horror here. He didn't think out the implications, and he's done other things in the past, which I've cringed at when I found out about it. And I thought, oh no. And that's why I always say, and said it from day one, sorry, Craig, you are not shocked by anything that Shadow Boxer, etc. have done. And you're not shocked by anything Decker's done. You're not. It's just not, because you couldn't do those songs you did, especially. You just couldn't do them. Could you make a song like that, Ronan?
First off, you have to understand, why do you go to a comedy show? You go to a comedy show first and foremost to be entertained and laugh. Second, you go there to escape reality. I went to a comedy show in Belfast. I've got an autistic son who's got Tourette's, of all things. Like, he's got actual Tourette's, right? Where it's not like words, but he makes noises. And he's got ADHD. Now, I went to a comedy show, and I'm not going to say the comedian. The comedian knows who I am, and he made a joke about autism and Tourette's. Now, I laughed at the joke. Now, it wasn't as horrible as what Craig referenced to Holly and Jessica. That his punchline was terrible. Shadowboxer's got a point. The execution of that joke was terrible. It was actually in some cases a little bit deviant. If you looked at that, you think, Jesus Christ, mate. But it was the execution of the joke where this guy knew me. He looked at me. He said the joke, and he done certain actions, and I was in stitches. And it was a funny atmosphere. But look at Frankie Boyle, for instance. Frankie Boyle told a joke about what do you call that girl? Kitty Pryce's son Harvey.
Oh,
he went through a court case with that because he was actually being horrible towards the child himself. So there's a difference. There's execution of jokes. There's one-liners. There's things you'll see some comedians, they'll say something, go, well, that was a wee bit edgy. I shouldn't have said that. But it's to take the heat off what they've just said. Where when Video Craig said that, if you rewatch that, he said it and then looked at the audience and then was moving and was like, he was like really getting into it, looking at them, going, laugh at me, and it's like I can understand why people do, but at the same time, we can call them out for it. And I have to agree with somebody, right? I don't get involved with the beef between Humble and this guy, but I listened to Paddy Conroy about this, and Paddy Conroy was disgusted with what he said. And you know what? You can't be disgusted with what he said, but at the same time, you will have to be careful because, we're going to censor certain words, censor people's voices, censor comedy, because once we do that, then you're in a whole different avenue of censorship,
I'll just say one thing on Pop-Up, right? He's shocked when it's someone that, that side, he's very selective in what he's shocked about, very selective. So I wouldn't take what he's shocked about as being able to go.
And can I just quickly jump in? It doesn't matter what we think. There was career suicide, the two things, okay? Craig is talented. Craig could have gone to the BBC, that's the type of guy he was. That was career suicide. So that's what we're talking about. Who cares what we think for him? He could have been into the mainstream. That was career. I'm fucking self-aware that, I wouldn't even get on a fucking grunge television. I know that. That was career suicide, that joke. Even though I won't say I was disgusted by it, I just said, oh, that is bad. And then the other thing with the woman, it was just career suicide. That's what we're really getting at here.
I have to say, the wood is poo. I have to say, I wasn't analysing how good of a comedian is. I was analysing the moment. Moment that he said that is, I suppose you just wrapped that up there by saying that it was career suicide. It was because you need to have your baseline of family-friendly jokes before you get into the sick and twisted. Look at Frankie Boyle. He wrote jokes for Alan Carr. Or what do you call that guy, Carr? He has the inward laugh. I forget his name, but he wrote jokes for him before he was an established comedian. So do you know what I mean?
Changes. But what's this thing? People keep on asking me about Wens. Who's this Wens?
Come here, this is a troll, and I would like to know who Wens is, because this guy constantly, I want to know, do I want to know Wens? Has Wens been shagging Melissa or something? Is this something I don't want to know? But somebody keeps on saying this, so please tell us who the hell Wens is. I want to know. And I feel like it's just, he's making up something, because this guy is constantly harassing me. I should go to police over this, I should. Every day of messages from this crazy lunatic.
Emails? Is he emailing you?
But that's what you
comment section. I do get emails. Funny enough, people are vicious out there.
Oh yeah, because
why don't you do a lie detector test, Shadowboxer? Do a lie detector test.
That's correct. That's correct. Funny enough, I'll use Paddy Conroy as well.
Let's just put this way, right? And I'm going to say this. I'm not just blocking Sans New and Sans Holman this one. Please do not mention that man on my show. He's banned. I don't want his word mentioned. I don't want to discuss him more than he's banned. He doesn't exist in my world. But as for this, I'll just say a thing about this lie detector test. This is wait a minute, I'm clicking the wrong button.
I will do a lie detector test, okay?
No,
wait, Ronan, after my court case. Do you understand why?
You're not going to get a court case. You're not, Shadow. You're not going to get a court case because they're going to look at the video and throw it out.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. The appeal is everything that happened in the court case. It's nothing to do with what I've done in the past. Okay. The stuff you in the future, the stuff after is if you're looking for a lesser sentence, like he's working well in prison, he's got a job, you might get a lesser sentence. That's if they're looking into what you did after.
Yeah.
What I'm going to Europe is the event, the night, and the court case. They do not bring in anything from the future, and they can bring that in. And my barristers will argue, yes, that's exactly why this woman picked this man to set up to further her own life, her own career.
So what you're saying is,
you destroyed my life to further herself. My barrister will use my live stream as evidence if they were ever using it. So there's two ways of looking at it, and I think that video. I wasn't violent in that live stream. I was no danger.
Right, and look, I'm just going to say this: you were violent, then you were
going.
How
was I violent?
Wait a minute, you were going round, right? Saying, "Oh, this is great viewing. This is great, wonderful. Look at this. I'm going to put this on members only." You were violent. You're abusive to women. You were.
I wasn't.
Horrendous.
I was rude. I was rude. I was trying to create content. And I will apologize for anyone that didn't get what I was doing. It was.
Let me just say this, right? I've got the power. I've got the mute button. I tell you now, don't say I am. Ronan will know I hate this one. Don't know if you've heard me saying this. Don't turn around and say, I apologize if anyone was upset. I apologize if anyone was offended. Because you're putting the blame on them. You either say, I've had this out with Video Craig when he said, I apologize if anyone was offended. No. You either apologize and say, oh, woe is me. I'm going to now flagellate myself and say a million Hail Marys when kneeling on a board with nails sticking up out of it, or you don't apologize, full stop. You say, lap it up, bitches. I did it. But I'm going to tell you now what you did, and don't look at me like that. I'm talking sense. Don't look at me as if I'm talking rubbish. Right. The fact is, and this is the end of it, you did go over there. You did start talking absolutely horrendously. It wasn't being rude. It was being disrespectful. If you'd done that to an Irish woman, well, that's groaning in a minute. If you walked out and did that to Irish women, you would have been arrested. You would have been arrested. So there we go.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
We don't have working girl bars. If we had that, then the standard
so
of
that'd be
how
all right.
It was entertainment. The girls couldn't speak English. I was shocking the viewers. If the girls could speak English and understood what I was saying, yes, it would have come across as rude. But it was just pushing the feckin' envelope. I never did a joke on two of the most famous British girls that were horrendously murdered. That in itself is a million times.
There's a difference, right, between telling a joke about those girls, which is distasteful. I agree with you. It's distasteful. It was a bad call he made, a really bad call. But there's a difference between that and going up to a woman without her permission and pulling her top down, whether she's a sex worker or not, does not matter. They still have rights. Getting someone to simulate oral sex with you and then going, I just can't. Honestly,
well, look, I have to say, I have to answer a question that you said there. It's so different here. I seen a girl get sexually assaulted in a pub close to me, and outside the pub, she grabbed the guy who was about 6'2", by the way, and she was only a small thing, pulled him to the ground and put her stiletto heel into his eye. And I see this guy walking about, and he has lost an eye. So the women over here are brutal. I mean,
should have lost two eyes. And
brutal.
I want to say something about the shadow boxer. People think I'm a defender of attackers, women beaters. I am totally against that. I stand for every woman child on this planet. I am the #1 man to protect women. I've never laid a finger on a woman in my whole entire life. I've had plenty of girlfriends. I've worked for 10 years as a stripper, working with thousands of women, and not one mention of harm. So explain to me this one incident comes up, and I've worked with thousands, hen parties, birthday parties. I was the #1 male stripper across Ireland. Where are the women today? Where are the Russell Brands? There is not.
Christ, Ronan, are you telling me that the women that hard up over there, that he'd be the #1?
The wood is poo. Ronan thinks he lives in Compton. It's probably worse, mate. This happened in Downpatrick. The Compton has nothing in Downpatrick. It probably has more guns too. But that's Irish women north and south are lethal. Now that's not to say sexual assault doesn't go on, because there's a lot of domestic abuse. And what I'm going to say to the shadow boxer here, you definitely have a problem when you drink alcohol, my friend. And I've seen a change in you, and I've seen a change in many of man in Ireland with the drink them. I've had to give up certain drink myself. I don't drink vodka because it turns me into a monster where I just fight. I just drink whiskey now, just raw whiskey and Guinness, and that's it. Now you with a couple of Guinness in you, I noticed the change in you. Now if you are an innocent guy, what I would do is get a lie detector test, go off the drink, and go to the European Court of Appeals and get that done, because this is the court of opinion, the most ruthless court that there's ever been, and the court of public opinion will absolutely shred you alive.
Let's ask this question right now. I don't know about Europe. I only know about the UK. Now, in the UK, it's inadmissible lie detector test. They won't accept it because they're very, very unreliable. Don't believe what Jeremy McCall comes out with, what he used to say, absolute rubbish, because the person who actually created them, he said it's not reliable. Simple reasoning, say that you were a psychopath, right? Or you had psychopathic tendencies, or you believed your own lies, you'd pass it with no problem. And that's why they don't like them. And courts, you can't, two things you can't introduce to a UK court as evidence is hypnotic regression evidence, because that's been proven to be a highly suspect more than lie detectors, and polygraphs. You can't do it because they're not reliable. And so I don't know whether it's the same in Europe. Some places will. I know Canada, they do for some strange reason. But and their system's supposed to be based on ours. But I don't think you can. And I'm always very suspect of lie detector tests. So if someone told me to take a lie detector, I'd turn around and say, no. And I wouldn't blame anyone. That's why this going on, that Paddy babe, I've just said I don't mention him. I'm going to mention him now. Should be taking this test and all that. All right, if he wants to, take it. But to me, they're not of little value. That's my view anyway.
Can I just, while I have the floor, I'm going to explain to people what's going on with my case. How could this happen? A woman got attacked. My first thing I said to the cops was they were charged me for choking the woman. Everything else they charged me with was found not guilty. They only threw that on to make something stick, okay? Throw enough shit in the board, something sticks. So they're saying, how did this happen? You attacked the woman. I said, this woman asked me to choke her. And they said to me, that's crazy. You met a woman the first night and she wanted you to choke her. I said, I'm telling you, I don't know what she wanted, but she wanted this, like choking sex. This is what she was after. They said, this is mental. We'll go talk to all her ex-boyfriends, her ex-fiance or husband, and we'll ask them if she's into all this stuff, does she do it? They never went and questioned them, okay? But then the counsellor, they got her, she was seeing counselling because she was messed up. The counsellor had 150 pages of all her interviews. Currently, while she met me for that day, she was just broke up with her husband and she was staying in some place, and with her landlord, she was doing.
So what you say is,
let me talk.
No, I'm not going to, because you're doing your defence and that's not why you're on here, right? The thing is, right, what I'll say to you, right, according again to British law, I don't know about European court, I don't know about Southern Ireland, different system there in the legal system. But I'm just telling you, let me say this, right? There's been cases in British courts where women have been damaged during the act, and they've actually asked the partner to do to them what damaged them. But the person who did the damage is still put in prison. Do you know why? Because if you turn around and say to someone, do a dangerous act to me, and you do it, you're still responsible for the consequences. So if you kill someone, that's what happened in a famous case in England. She wanted to be, I won't go into graphic detail, but she wanted him to do that to her rear end, and he had rings on and all that. It ended up killing her, right? He still went to prison. He still went to prison. Here we are.
Finish my point. Can I just finish my point, please, Anne? That's fair. Because I'm going to get Ronan to do a video on this. Because Ronan can do the research.
Well, ask him first.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him in a second. I said, go question your ex-partners ever, and the police wouldn't go do it. And then we found her council notes that she was sleeping with this landlord in this BDSM abusive relationship while she met me. In the weeks leading up, this was what she was doing. I've never seen BDSM in my life. Okay? It didn't get allowed into court. And in the trial notes, Ronan's going to check, it says it. It says, why wasn't this man questioned about the BDSM? Because everything she asked me to do in the night, that's what she was doing the day she met me. This was a disturbed woman and set me up. And yes, that live stream does say something. I am wild. I am crazy. But I'm certainly no woman abuser. I'm certainly no sex
You
attacker.
are what? This is where you're doing yourself.
You
down.
have-
I was set up 100%. And Ronan, will you please,
But you have to
go through the court case and find the BDSM notes
Yeah.
where she was in a BDSM
Well, so
relationship and
I got
the
sent.
cops
I got
let me
sent.
down.
I got sent them. But you have to understand, there's people looking at this here like PD who've read this. And I listen. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't read it. I haven't read the notes. But I will. I will read the notes. But you have to understand, it doesn't matter what I say. Look at the chat. People are putting bacon signs. They're calling you a bacon. If somebody called me a bacon, I would do a lie detector test in the morning. People are saying they're not reliable. It doesn't make a difference. I would do it to prove, look, fuck this. I was wrongly convicted of this shit. I need you to believe me, because it doesn't matter what
legally I need to get my name cleared. Okay, and that's the first over some poxy lie detector test. I will do that when I legally have everything done. And right now, you're seeing the end days of the shadow boxer until I come back, because I am in the middle of fucking saving my life. And that is the honest truth. I've never laid a finger.
Do you think if you went and done a lie detector test with somebody that was credible, the European Court of Appeals might take that into consideration if you passed it?
Do you think I would give it to the trolls and give them more drama? I will give them nothing. The shit they've said to me and put me through the last 6 months, when I know in my heart I'm innocent of this. I was an innocent man set up by this crazy woman. Do you think I want to go give the trolls? I don't give a shit what the trolls think. All I know is I'm an innocent man, and it was a travesty what happened to me. And I will.
I'm just going to say this because you're going on to a rant, right? Just let's say this. This is my opinion of it, right? When I hear you say this, right, and you say, in your opinion, you're an innocent man and all this business, that's in your opinion. But you've also turned around and said that your behavior in Phuket was nothing more than you having a laugh and creating content when anyone at the level-headed, what's the term, the legal term, the level-headed man in the street, that's what they look for, would turn around and say, what you committed on that was assault, physical assault of women. You were absolutely abusive to women. You went up to two elderly men trying to get a fight going. You were being obnoxious. So if you call that just creating contact and normal behavior, you doing that, you've just said that you did choke her out, or you choked her in the bedroom. You said that. She wanted it. He's gone.
Look,
but this, they're not going to remove show.
And there's no, listen, this is the thing, right? Any person that was accused of that would go for a lie detector test, regardless if people deem them not credible, because you don't want to be seen as that. Because personally, I think the court of public opinion is worse than any legal court.
Yeah.
Look at the chat, bacon wrong. And this is what I'm trying to say. Everything led up to this moment, and you can't get a word in. There's no speaking there. Everything led up to this moment has been counterproductive for him, making himself an innocent man. If I was going to the Court of Appeals, I would not be affiliating myself with Voldemort. I would not be I wouldn't be having those live streams where I'm incredibly drunk, being abusive towards women, because that's going to be a reference to his character in that courtroom. And he's saying, look, that won't be. I don't know if there is a prosecution to this. If there's I don't know how it works in the European Court of Appeals.
Yeah, I don't.
They will use a character reference, and as it stands, he has a character reference. That's all been saved. That's all been downloaded. That's on a hard drive, and people will share that. It's everywhere. So look, I understand people get convicted and they haven't done it. I understand that, but then their behavior afterwards sort of is detriment to the whole thing. His behavior afterwards proved to us that, hold on, he's not good when he has a drink in him, and and he can be quite abusive. So maybe it was he was rightly convicted, not wrongly convicted, and he's protesting his innocence. I don't know how the European Court of Appeals works, but what I will say is, for that, he was convicted on sexual assault. It wasn't rape, was it? It was sexual assault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was no penetrative sex.
No.
It was sexual assault.
He didn't grape it.
How did they
Unless
prove?
you say-
How did they prove it? Maybe if, for instance, if they proved that in a corrupt way, that's the angle I would take at it with a lie detector test. But as you see, I've asked them for a lie detector test, or just go for it. It'll help you in your case. It'll prove to the public what you really are. And then he sort of gets on the defense of it. So it is what it is. I can't do anymore. To be honest with you, I'm not going to look into the case. I'm not going to be making any videos. It's up to himself. It's up to himself.
I think what it is, Ronan, is as well, is that, yeah, there are miscarriages of justice. Yeah, the system is, and lots of people have said that, is weighed against the man. It is. I mean, both should be anonymous. I've always said that, not just one. The thing that they say is that the man has to be made public in case there's other victims, yeah. But if you're going to do that, you have to make the woman public. So if there's any men that have said she's falsely accused me, they can come forward as well. So we know miscarriages do happen. But at the end of the day, and I was never going to get into this thing about whether he was innocent or not. But once I saw that Phuket video, I knew that this was more than likely, highly likely, that he did what he's accused of, because he was saying, "I'm going to choke you out" to women. He doesn't see doing that to a woman. That's why I said if he was in Ireland and went on like that, he'd either be arrested by the police, in traction, in hospital, or both, because he wouldn't get away with it. And it's the fact that he felt safe doing it over there that shows he's like that. Now, this might be the result of drink, but even if a woman or anyone says, "Please do this dangerous act to me during sex," guess what? If that person is injured, you are still liable, because you're supposed to say, "No, I'm not going to do that," because that can seriously hurt you.
It's like the Russell Brand thing. The Russell Brand thing. People were saying, questioning. It's a similar thing with the first case with the whole condom thing. People were saying, well, she consented to sex, and I says, well, hold on here. If it's true about him and he took off the condom, that's sexual assault, because she only consented that to with the condom on. It's the same as a sexual act. It doesn't matter if it's rough play during sexual acts. If you grab somebody by the throat and they don't want that, and then you continue to do that, that's sexual assault. Now, I have to stress this: if you have been wrongly convicted, you will reference that over. You will be consistent in referencing that over and over and over again. You'll keep yourself squeaky clean online, or not be online whatsoever, and you'll go to the European Court of Appeals with a lie detector test. This whole thing, doing the lie detector test after, I don't know. I think doing the lie detector test before, even though it can't be used in court, they do take certain things into consideration. If you look at the Steve Wilco show, they take lie detector tests into consideration. And I have to say this, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I broke down the whole Jeremy Kyle lie detector thing, and that body language expert went on the Happy Hour podcast and basically says, look, there was people that were wrongly the lie detector tests were wrong, and it came back that they were wrong way after it came back that they actually lied, and they didn't lie. So we have to be careful with this. But all in all, I think it will give a good reference to the public whether this guy actually did it or not, because you have to understand the lie detector test. It's from +20 to -20, I believe. The more minus you are, the more you are guilty, and the more plus you are, the more you're innocent. It could be the opposite way about. So if it's between -5 and +5, it's inconclusive.
Just want to say,
do you know what I mean?
Mark Davis has just been asking me a few times to read this out, so I'll read it out for him. It pisses me off when convicted sex offenders say where the other victims, he could have just been caught the first time he acted on his sick ages. But what I want to also address is this one is put in your nightmare. So European courts don't accept video evidence. So what you're saying is, if there's a video of someone stabbing someone to death, or a video of someone shooting a whole street full of people, the court's going to say, no, we don't look at video evidence. Get a reality check. Anyway, hello there, Mr. Person with that hairdo thingy.
Good afternoon, Anne. Good afternoon, Holden. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm very good. Hedgehog man.
Good,
So-
good. I've been watching. I was in a taxi before, so I couldn't really come on, but I thought we'd jump on for 5 minutes. And how the hell did that come about with him on?
He just popped on, so I thought, oh, I'll let him have a say, because it was all about. I want him to talk about this Martin thing, but it quickly turned into him giving himself a defense over this case, which you didn't want to know about. I don't
Do you
want
like
to
my
know
new
about
Batman
that.
jumper?
I've got what?
Do you like my new Batman jumper?
Oh, it's lovely. I'm so impressed. I can't believe it. Oh, yippee. That is amazing. That is amazing. So anyway, what was your view on this? Because I saw you on your live last night. And what did you... And you looked shocked when you heard that Martin had been on Shutterbox.
Shadowboxers, yeah. Ridiculous, isn't it?
But what did you think of it when you heard that? What do you think it says about Martin?
Well, Martin came on the biggest live first, you know what I mean, Video Craig, and now he's just working his way down to like, you know what I mean? It's like when you see a pop star and they're number one in the charts and they're doing Wembley, and then maybe they do some smaller venues, and then they end up like doing the local pub for 50 quid. That's what Martin's doing with the YouTube lives at the moment.
Did you just fart, mate?
That's coming out of his mouth. That's coming out of his
Is that
mouth.
you,
yeah.
mate? Is that you doing that?
It was him, yeah.
Oh, that's you, Anne. Jesus Christ! I thought that was him. That sounded like it was him.
And do you know when you said is it that nice message yesterday saying, "I hope your arcade machine catches on fire"?
No, people, this all lies. You know, he's making this up. Never happened.
I'm not. I posted it. Well, I hope your wicker chair catches on fire.
I tell you now, I'd say that. Do you know what? The way he tries to defame me, because you just can see me as a threat. You see me as a threat taking over now that Blu-ray Craig is on this. Have you seen Blu-ray Craig, Ronan?
I tuned into an episode there last week. It was pretty good. Like.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ronan watches.
Did
you hear what he just said? Ronan just said he never misses one of my Blu-ray.
Ronan,
He wouldn't miss
Ronan.
it because it's classic entertainment. And he
I wonder
wouldn't
what
miss
Ronan-
it because he wants his whole week made up by watching it. See that?
What
Definitely
did
100%.
What did Ronan and the other 27 viewers think of it?
What's wrong with your mouth? You're doing that lisp again. What have you been doing?
Lisp.
You keep on now and again. You come on and you're doing a lisp.
A lisp.
You're doing a Toya Wilcox.
Do you know where that comes from, right? My mate was on speed for years, and see after he spoke fine, and then see after he came off the cat's piss, we call it cat's piss.
Cat's piss.
He was left with a lisp because he was constantly
think I have a
grinding his
lisp.
jaw.
You do.
I've got a
You
very
do.
dry mouth at the moment, but I don't think I have a lisp.
Yeah.
Lisp. I don't think I have a lisp. Oh, here we are. What's going
Right,
on?
my taxi's here. My taxi's here again. I'm gonna have to go.
So, okay, so I'll see you next time then. Okay, right. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Yeah, he goes on now and again with this little list. But yeah, it's didn't quite get the answer I wanted what he thought of going on. What's this strange? What are you going on about?
Solway's in the chat. He's going dry mouth, another sign of a wronging. I mean, I know. Listen, I can't say much more to Video Craig. People are in the chat saying, another woman beater. They were calling Video Craig a one beater. Look, I done that 2 years ago. That's not what I'm about anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'll talk about other stuff on my channel. I don't even talk about Video Craig, Voldemort, or any of that stuff. Like even when it came to Shadowboxer, I think people were expecting me to go hard at him. I'm not. That's not what I'm about anymore. Do you know? It's
Yeah.
I asked the questions and that's it.
I think what it was, Ronan, was your aim, because I had to run in with you to be me bitch yourself, and I think people are realising now I just bitch at people for me a fact of bitching. But I think what it is, your aim started off because everyone was starting off getting onto this. We've got to do it about this, we've got to do about that. That gets the views. But then you sort of went your own way, didn't you? jumped off the train or the wagon, and you started going in your own direction, didn't you?
Well, if you think about it, right, it's a demographic of people, right? There are good people, a lot of good people that are in it. I'm not getting at the people, because they still come onto my channel. But there was a demographic of people that it involved some of the biggest trolls I've ever seen in my entire life. People that will dig into your life, expose where your son goes to school, expose, dox you, and I wasn't willing to stay in that, because at the end of the day, right, half the time, 90% of the time, these trolls got exposed, like their faces, their names, and then that's an incentive for me to go do something bad. So if somebody done something bad to me, I don't want to be doing 25 years in jail for doing something bad to somebody that doxed me. So I just went, you know what, I'm going to go off, I'm going to do my own thing, I'm going to talk about other things. And here's another thing I have to say, right? It's the only demographic. I was speaking to a guy the other day, an American guy, and he's one of my subscribers. He texts me on Instagram and he says to me, can you put me onto any like Irish or English channels? I goes, well, there's this demographic. And he went and he watched it. He's like, some of them guys have only got 500 subs and they're getting like 6,000 views. How does that work? I says, that's what it is. You get bogged down into that demographic and you're stuck in the mud. If you're talking about anybody on that side of YouTube, you're going to get 6,000-7,000 views now and again. But all in all, there's no growth. It's not good for because once DH is gone, Voldemort's gone, once all these people are gone, you're not going to have anything to talk about. You're going to be known for, you know.
I think what is wrong, you said something that I'll introduce you, Bobby, in a second.
Okay, no worries.
Just want to say this. I've said this in the past. It's amazing with YouTube. It's not actually how many followers that you've got or subs have got that matter. It's how many clicks you start getting. And you can see people with millions. Now, look at me. I mean, I've got 20, and people say I've bought them. I swear down, I haven't bought them. I've got 23,000 subs, right? But I don't get half of what, let's say, Bobby gets. You've got nearly 2,000, haven't you, Bobby? Or what Craig gets. Yeah. And Craig's got half than me. So it's got nothing to do with how many subs you got. People get obsessed by this. It's who gets the click. So you could officially have 500 subs. But if your video is attracting the algorithm and getting it to put it out there, you're made. So
what's better, and sorry to interrupt you, I apologize, but what's better, to put in a little bit of hard work now and go through a struggle and a hard time to maybe get hundreds of thousands of views and actually be a personality, right? In maybe 5-6 years time, or to stay in a demographic where you're speaking about a couple of individuals and only grow so much. For me personally, I would rather sit now with 500 views a video, 1,000 views a video, maybe when I'm lucky, get 20-30,000 views on some subjects, and do that for 6 or 7 years to then be established and maybe break into the hundreds of thousands of views, because that's the two options you have. And some people, I do believe, they don't want to put in that type of work. Like, look at yourself. I've watched you, and way before I came onto YouTube, I've seen you with Sean Atwood. I've seen that whole thing to do, you know, with that demographic, and you slowly moved into here. But if this demographic moves away, you will migrate into another demographic because you're able to do that. A lot of people will not have the ability to do that. They won't. They won't. You know, they won't be able to do that. And then you're just stuck in the mud. And then I've seen channels come and go. Here, and do the hard work now, go through the hard times, and people tune in to hear what you're saying instead of people tune in to hear you speak about somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is basically.
I like, because Bobby's sitting there being patient. So what did you think of this yesterday, Bobby? Because I know you haven't tried to get Marty on, have you?
No. Ronan, and thanks for letting me on. I just cannot tolerate, I'm not even going to say his name, SB. I, honest to God, I just tuned in and I didn't know you were doing live, and I just saw it just flashed up that you were doing a live, so I thought I'll go see what it's about. I'm shaking inside. I just cannot give the man time. You will not see any videos of this guy on my channel, and I don't think he deserves a second chance. You know, he disrespects women. He's guilty of abusing women. And we've all seen the shots in the Philippines, and it just absolutely, I feel as though he's trying to defend himself, not too far away from the same mindset as DH, and it just makes me shake inside. You know, I just cannot. I haven't time for him whatsoever. And people say that we, like myself, I should move away from DH. What am I going to do if he disappears or for any reason? Look, I'm not monetized, and I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I've asked people to buy me a coffee. It's their choice, but I do not push it because I feel if I got monetized, I will become a slave to YouTube. I think that people have channels like Sean Atwood, big channels, and they're controlled by YouTube. They're very careful what they say, the subjects they do. They use code words instead of the real names. I know, and I want the freedom. You see, I have had warnings. I have had warnings for YouTube. Don't get me wrong, saying you can't do this, you can't do that. But I might behave myself for a week or two, but I'm never gonna give in. It's just freedom of speech to me.
But Bobby, the thing is, whether you're monetized or not, you'll still be pulled in. Do you remember that time when you first channel when you lost it? And I would say I could see that coming, and I swear to God, I didn't report the channel because I wasn't watching it. After a while, I just didn't watch it. So anyway, but what I'm saying is, I knew that was coming, like I saw it coming with others, because you were using terminology that right away it's going to start sniping on you. It's saying the end.
I will let too much go.
Yeah,
I will let too much go.
There's too much going on, so it's going to grab that. That's actually happened to Sean Atwood. Sean Atwood was using the wrong terminology, and what you've got to get in your head now, which is sick, there's certain words, and I saw this in Twitter, which happened to me recently. I was sanctioned. I didn't even use the word pedo, N-word, or anything, or map, or anything. But I was pulled for it because they're actually making those people someone with protected characteristics, which is so insulting because it puts them under the LGBTQI and the race umbrella of someone that has to be protected or disabilities or whatever. That's what's horrific. But you'd still, even though you're not monetized, you'll still be pulled up for it, which is that's the way it goes. But it's working out. The hard thing is working out what they don't like. It's like you say, Ronan, you were pulled like I was for repetition. You just put a little bit of a video up that you've used in another video. They'll say that's repetition and stop your money.
Yeah, it's really difficult, and they've tightened up in the last 12 months unbelievably. I mean, if you go back 10 years to when YouTube started or whatever it was, the freedom of speech was unbelievable. It was there. Now it's so condensed, it's so controlled, and it's very difficult to put your own personality out. You know,
it's getting worse.
I'm a bit like Anne. I don't like using abusive language.
There's a whole new set of laws coming, Bobby, that's going to absolutely it's getting bad. They're bringing in the online safety bill that's going to see hate speech, right? See all the big panels that you see now, right? That are like the exposure TVs and blah blah and etc. Even other ones. See if you use any profanities whatsoever. Right, and it can come under hate speech. Like, for instance, PP says that word. He says PUFF. Right.
Too much. Yeah.
If the algorithm after the 7th of November, that channel will just disappear. All these channels will disappear.
Well, do you think this could be the end of YouTube? Has it got a life? Has it got a lifespan? Is it coming to the end? Because there is several other platforms that are very similar that are competing.
The thing is, Bobby, these other platforms share about these other platforms. Whether you like it or not, YouTube is the easiest to use. It's got the biggest audience, and there'll always be people out there. See, we get lost in this, and I've said this before, this little corner of YouTube. It seems everything to us, this corner of YouTube. But as Ronan said, he's trying to look out another way. But I'd say, Ronan, I've seen the stuff you do. I don't think YouTube is the safest place for you to be, because you're talking about things that are getting people cancelled all the time. But my view is, and I've said this before, there's a difference between someone having an opinion on something and someone just going out and expressing what is vile hate. Now, you can say they have the right to express that, but anyway, I look at someone like Posey Parker, I don't like her. Is she a transphobe? Like hell, yeah, she is a transphobe. But the fact that that woman was, when she was in New Zealand, was treated the way she was threatened with violence and all this. No. She's got the right to have that opinion. She's got the right. She's not saying
Definitely.
it in a hateful way. But when you've got someone that's saying the most horrendous things, like did happen on Exposure TV, I was victim of that. People can kill themselves because of what was being said
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
And that's what can happen. I mean, luckily, I'm not a trans woman. People think I am, but I'm not.
Well,
and that's what, but if I was a trans woman, to say that to a trans woman and keep on going on about genitalia, it's devastating. There's more mortuaries that have got trans women on them.
It's not so much.
Can I just say it? I mean,
it's not so much that. Sorry, Bobby, I have to say it's not so much that I'm against the hate of anybody. Of course, unless you are a predator of children and women and men, you're that way inclined, a sexual predator. Then yes, I'm for that persecution. But I'm against the persecution of anybody. But what you're dealing with here today is you've got. I have to choose my words carefully because it's your channel, Anne. But you've got a sect of people that are using a certain group of the LGBTQ to further an agenda, and it's like I have to just say this. This is just, it breaks my heart. Around me, there is little boys that are 4 years of age with global delay. They've got learning difficulties, and their mothers are dressing them up as girls. Now, how is that not considered as child abuse? And if I said that under new hate speech laws, I would be deemed as a person who committed a hate speech crime. Well, I'm just speaking fact. That child. That child is 4 years of age, global delay, still in nappies, and you're saying that this child has chosen to be a different gender. And that to me is a whack job mother being indoctrinated by the TikTok crowd and the Facebook people. And that's what that is. So I have to be passionate about that and say that we need to protect our children from this. We really, really need to protect our children and let them progress and be who they are. And if they want to be a different gender whenever the time comes, that is up to them. And they shouldn't get hate for that. But let's kick the whack jobs out of our schools that are just like the Catholic Church tried to indoctrinate children years ago. I was against that, and I'm against this type of indoctrination too. And it's an agenda to make our children, whenever they grow up, to be more pliable to all this stuff like 15-minute cities and so on and so on and so on. It's disgusting.
I'll have a reply to that, but Bobby, you say first.
Yeah. The thing is, what I think the problem is that, like platforms like this, YouTube, which I don't know, 100,000 videos every 5 minutes get uploaded, something like that. It's crazy in amount. It's in a crazy amount. And Pete, he was originally designed as a file sharing, basically video platform, and for people to express their views. But I believe that people get confused with real laws and YouTube, what YouTube allows. And I say that, it sounds stupid, but why I say that is because we all come on here and go, you can't, we've done it today, you can do this, you can do that, you can't say this, that's wrong to say that. And people get confused with laws and then YouTube, what YouTube allows. Yeah, and I think you have to think about that before you say anything. It's a very powerful platform, but yeah, I do think it's got a lifespan of probably another 5 years before something creeps up behind it myself.
I don't know, to tell the truth, Bobby. I think it's here to stay. But in response to Ronan, what you're saying, see, the thing is, there is things I get worried about, very worried about. And I often say so because I'm an old sod, and things were simpler years ago, which they were. Things were much, much simpler, but that doesn't mean that they were better. But the problem is there are some things, definitely, there's dangers out there. I've often said this, whether you're straight, whether you're LGBTQI, whatever, there's going to be dangerous to children out there. But when it comes to the identity, how does a child, I mean, most children know, you'll ask most, especially trans people, and we're not just talking, about trans people, you can be talking about non-binary. I consider myself in my own head to be non-binary, but it's up to other people whether they want to call me he or she, it's up to them. But my view is, this is what I've always said, God, life is a pathway that's difficult enough. Just let children grow up and be children and not bothered about. I don't think it's a question of, what gender are you? What sex are you? I don't think that's a question a child would naturally come up with. Someone, the parent or someone, has put that question in their head, or they've heard something, and I think that's where it goes wrong. But if you have got a child that is trans, and you do have trans children, and they are definitely trans, I think what you've got to do is they should be allowed to express that, because what you're doing, you're confining and saying, and this is the whole issue of the modern movement in trans. And I don't like calling it like that, because trans years ago was simple. A trans woman or a trans man was someone that went for reassignment surgery. That was it. Now trans can be absolutely anything from what I can see, and that's where it's getting dangerous and it's getting confusing.
It's also destroying feminism, though. And if you look at the feminists today that have fought for the rights, for a bloke, and I understand, I get what people are saying, and I'll support anybody that's being persecuted against. You need to know that, but like if you look at a feminism today, like men identifying as women going into female sports with 30-40 years of testosterone in them going in. I seen a girl the other day get her neck broke in a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match, and this was in Los Angeles, and they couldn't even question and this person doesn't even they don't even try to be feminine. They're just walking about with a pair of jeans and a beard. It looks more manly than me and Bobby. So it's
Roland,
how is that right?
That's a different. We're going from children now to going to adults.
Oh yeah.
Before you move on, can I just say about children?
Yeah.
My thoughts are, listen, we live in a different world from when we were kids.
We do, Bobby. We
right,
do.
And now it's about education. And you must be you'd be better speaking on this, because the amount of ignorant people out there, it's like your condition you was born with. It's nothing to do with sexuality. It's a state of your being.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's so many people out there. I mean, like DH, for example, he came on and he said, a man's a man, a woman's a woman. There's only two sexes. Grow up and get yourself educated. Now, as far as children go, I think it's the parents that are the ones that should be educating them, not bring these agendas into schools or whatever. I think a child needs to live a child's life, and the parents need to be educated on what I've just said about, sorry, go on.
Again, it's the thing is, a child. But what are you saying is the normal? And I used to say this to people and say, and I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, because I do think I don't think you should be talking about sex or anything or genders. Look, if a child is trans, it will naturally come out. If a child is gay, it will naturally come out over time. You don't have to discuss it and analyze it and go into it.
But let's
just finish this, Bobby, right?
Yep.
The thing that gets up the LGBTQI's nose, and I've said this for years, well before all this started, is the fact that somehow it's presumed that the blueprint is heterosexual what they call now cisgendered man, heterosexual cisgendered woman. So it's all right that we talk about those type of families in school. It's all that we talk about mummy and daddy, but we can't talk about anything else. Suddenly that's going out the box. And that's where it can get really frustrating, because it's presuming that those are the two standards that run this planet. And as I say, the master race that runs the planet, and that everything else has to be accepted or fitted in. But where it's gone now is you're talking about, and this is the whole thing I say, guess what? We survived years ago without talking about gender identity, without talking about, are you a boy or a girl, or are you non-binary, are you a moon child, and all this. We survived and we got through it. There's another danger as well. Children love attention. They love attention. They love it. So if they find that someone is being treated special, that comes on looking like a pantomime dame with a big wig on, and they're getting all the attention, and isn't this person nice? Look, this person dresses up in dresses and has a big beard. A child will think, if they're getting the attention, I want the attention. And that's where it gets confusing. And let's be honest, the worst time you can go through is when you're going through your puberty. You swing between different elements before you settle. And the horror is, and I can understand people getting worried about this, if any kind of tampering or surgery that goes on, or tampering with, That's where
there's two things I want to say, and I want to there's a comment here from Disco Beaver, and I want to say something in regards to yourself. So there's people, intersex people, whenever they were born, it was up to some doctor to decide. I do believe, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that's like a scenario that you were in, and that those people have a genuine right to say, well, hold on here, it was another person's will determined who I am today, and says this is what this person's going to be, and that needs to be an issue that needs to be addressed. But if you look at what Disco Beaver said, right, he says, I was a child, I was a right tomboy. If I was a kid now being a tomboy, the school would question me if I wanted to change gender. And this is what the issue is. It's not about the people themselves. If you're trans, you're trans. I will support you in that. But it's the schools have been radicalized, not just here in the North, in the Republic, England, Wales, America. The West has been radicalized with these whack jobs. And some of them don't even have children. And they know that you're away 7 hours a day from your kid, and they're teaching the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, and guess what? For 45 minutes to half an hour a day, they're talking about gender issues, which should not be discussed.
It's not. Yeah, it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be the agenda.
Yes,
have
they
you
are.
have you heard them saying to your child?
No, well, we've got a very good headmaster who I've known for quite some time. He's the same age as myself, and I made it quite clear: do not speak to my son about global warming. Do not speak to my son about organ donation, any gender issues or anything. And if you do that, I will expose this whole school. He says, "Look, Ronan, we don't teach this here anyway."
Exactly, Ronan.
But there's two types of schools. Sorry, Anna, I apologize. There's two types of schools over here. There's Catholic schools and there's integrated schools. In the Protestant integrated schools over here, they're teaching radical gender ideologies to children, and the children are coming. Now, it might not be, it might have not crept so much into the primary schools, but I know for a fact, and I heard of one school not too far away from me, and it's a girls' school, so I don't know how I'm going to investigate it. I can't just walk into a girls' school, where they put cat litter boxes outside the classrooms because one of their students identified as a fucking cat. And I says, well, if that child identifies, like, come on now, come on. Do you know what? We'll have to call that out. You know, if this is true and they're actually doing this, then they're facilitating this behavior.
The thing is,
Bobby, just let me ask you.
Yes,
you've got grandchildren.
Yeah.
Have any of them come home to you saying, "No, guess what? We were told in school today."
I'll be honest with you. No, I've never heard anything. And
the vast majority is cats.
The same. There's never been an issue, but I feel the problem is, look, why would the government say, right, we're going to educate children in this manner regarding sexual preferences, etc., before we educate the parents? Surely it's got to be the parents that need educating first. They have to bring this to the table and say, look, this is the new agenda. This is what we're thinking of doing. We need you to be on board with this, because how is a parent going to deal with a child that
they don't do that, Bobby? They don't.
Let me finish, Ronan. Who's confused with their sexuality if they don't know how to deal with it? And that's the first thing I would do as a parent if a child was confused and came to me, my own child, and said, "Look, I'm not sure where I'm at. I don't know whether I want to be a girl or a boy, whatever." I wouldn't know how to deal with it, and that straight away I would go and find help. So shouldn't they be educating the parents first in case this happens? The kids need to live a kid's life. And as Zan said, you know, pantomime. They love pantomime, the kids. So they'll see any Ronald McDonald as attractive to them, because that's our kid's life is. You know, it's part of the deal. But if the governments have got an agenda, they need to have people on board who are directly, you know, involved with these kids, and that's the parents. If you don't, I
don't want to plug my channel. This isn't me plugging my channel, but if anybody wants the information this year, I broke down the new sex education curriculum that's been brought into the north of Ireland, England, Scotland, and Wales, and it's already been trialed and tested in England, and it's advice for kids that aren't even in school. And what they're saying is a child from 0 to like 2 years of age, they're actively saying, I don't want to quote myself on this here because I can't remember the full thing, but they're talking about exploring gender identity from 0 to 2, and right up until They go into high school. They're talking about some of the weirdest sex education I've ever seen in my whole entire life. You wouldn't have a conversation, and this is going to be actively taught to children. And guess what, Bobby? It goes
where's
against
this
everything.
information, Ronan? I don't disbelieve you. I don't disbelieve you, but I mean,
the whole thing.
There's a lot of conspiracies out there. There's a lot of people who don't agree with things, and I'm not saying one moment that I don't believe you. But I'm saying is where they're coming from. I mean, if it's coming from governments, etc.
Do you know what? Hold on.
I get that.
My mom sent me the whole thing. Just give me a wee second here.
Yeah, not a problem.
I can read. Here's it here. Here's it here actually. Right. So the truth behind RSE Northern Ireland, right? So from 0 to 4, give information about enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's body, every childhood masturbation, and that's from 0 to 4. And that goes on.
Where's this from, Ronan?
So this is
picture's gone really light.
I know. Do you know it's because the sun's coming through
right,
and I haven't got a shade.
You've turned into an angel, and you've turned into an angel.
Oh, I am an angel. I'll take my main lights off and see if it makes
so
any
this
difference.
this is truth behind RSENI. This is you can get this at I can send this PDF file to anybody. You can get this at tbrni.org, and this goes right up to the curriculum. From 0 to 4. From 4 to 6, give information about same-sex relationships and different concepts of family. Help children develop their respect for different norms regarding sexuality. 6 to 9, give information about sexual intercourse, contraception, menstruation, masturbation, and ejaculation. Give information about online pornography, having a secret.
I know it's not an easy list.
Wait a minute, Bobby. Where is that from?
That is from. I'll send you the PDF. It was download it and give it to me. It's from Truth Behind RSE Northern Ireland.
Where have they got this from?
That's what we want to know. Where's the original source?
So there's something like 20,000 PDF files in regards to the sexual education curriculum.
Yeah, where have they got them from? I think put a PDF out there.
gov.co.uk.
So I can find that exactly what you've just read out on Gov.
That's an official document that's in the public domain. Yeah, I don't doubt, Ronan. Now,
what do you say,
how do you know how this is accepted in local communities?
Right. So
let me just finish, Ronan, because we've all got a local community, and they have a school committee at each school, and there's parents on them committees who, they have to vote and agree on things, etc. How is it being received by them? How are they accepting this? Have you looked into that at all?
Right. So there is an opt-out, right? So they're going to, if you don't want to know about this, they're not going to tell you. This had to be brought forward by the people searching. They went to search through 20,000 PDF files and collected all the relevant information and put them into 3, the ones that are worrying. Obviously, there's good aspects to the new curriculum, but this is the underlying evil that they're going to be teaching the kids. Now, you can go to the school and opt out, but how many parents out there that don't know about this will just allow their kids to go in and be taught certain things? Now, obviously, they can't teach not the 6-year-olds because you have them from whenever they're not, but that is a broad perspective of what they say you should be having conversations with your kids with. Now, you just heard that how to access online pornography.
But Ronan, I'd have to see this from the source.
Yeah, this sounds really really extreme for a government document. This,
I couldn't see them putting that out.
And I think if it's true, Ronan, I'd have thought this would have been questioned long before now.
No, but it's the reason why they're allowed to do it is because you can opt out. You can go to the school and say, "Do not teach my
yeah, but as a parent, Ronan, wouldn't you read that and be disgusted and think, "Wow, this has come from the government"?
Yeah, there's 10,000 people here ready to go to war over this.
The thing is, though, I'm not saying. Have you got the link that you can put in the private chat for me, Ronan? So
I can send you. I can send you the. I can send you
the Gov one. The Gov one. Wait,
no, well, I know this. So what they've done
here. It's not on there, is it?
So look,
there's someone coming up with a load of cack. It's not.
No, it isn't. Look, because they have they have screenshots of where they find it on the government site. It's on gov.co.uk.
So is this? Yeah. Is this?
And yes, there's a code where you can scan, and I think it takes you to the relevant one. I wouldn't know how to do that. I wouldn't know how to do that.
Another thing that happens is people look on places like truth.com. I'm not saying you do, and they'll see information, and then they'll do their own report on it. So certain sections of it will come from that. It's not that kind of a document, is it?
So like there's 20,000, there's about, I don't know, that's a number at the top of my head. It could be 10,000. There's lots of different PDF files. And what
Right.
this company's done, they've read through it. They've got a solicitor or somebody to read through it, because this is their website. It's called Truth Behind RSE Northern Ireland. And they've took out all the relevant information that the parents should know. They've put it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it's 4 PDF files, and they've posted it on their website with QR codes that'll take you to the, I think it'll take you, I don't know if it takes you to the Gov website, but it has screenshots off the Gov website where they've got their information.
You see, this thing, Rona, what I'd tell you to do, just what I'd strongly tell you to do, or you could end up going down a rabbit hole, actually find them yourself on the .gov.
Yeah.
Find them yourself. Don't quote from, because turn out there's people out there that will put all the kinds of rubbish. And this is what I keep on saying. Do you remember years ago, don't know if you remember this? There was a thing that went out, we can't say Happy Christmas anymore. We've got to say Happy Winter Festival. It was all a load of cack. No, it was never said. It was the papers running with it.
Right. And the media do this all the time. And I mean, I'm not saying, you haven't got a government document there. What I'm saying is, this to me sounds a little bit like it's a document's being created using sections of the government document, and it's their opinion, and it's put in a in a clever way. And the media do that all the time. The newspapers do that all the time.
Listen, as I say, I can't defend it 100%, because you're 100% correct. It needs to be scrutinized. But what I will say is, on the files itself, there is it has screenshots off where they've got it from. It's not an opinion. They've took what the government has said and put it down into 5 PDF files, so you don't have to listen to all the rest of it. Now what I have to do is scrutinize that to make sure.
You have to go back now and do that, because what you're saying, what they've done is they've taken it. You haven't seen it with your own eyes.
I've taken this to my school. I've showed them this, and they've says under no circumstances will that be ever taught to any child in the school, which I was very happy about. But
this one's saying to Roland, you have to go back to it, or you will suddenly find yourself getting labelled, and that's what you've got to be careful of, because there are concerns. I'd say that I've voiced concerns. I've got serious concerns about certain things, especially that people who want to do things to children are trying now to slip under the banner of LGBTQI and have protected characteristics, which should never happen. And LGBTQI people are saying that. I point it out on Twitter, and my account is locked for pointing that out. But the fact is that there are, look, we've all seen it. I don't want to go into it because you'll get the algorithm going on, but we've heard about young women, and very young women, getting their breasts worked on, removed, and all this business, which is irreversible. There's certain things when it comes to irreversible, we talked about before about intersex babies being operated on, which Greece is the only place that's banned that, thankfully. But for people that don't know, people like me who are born intersex, if the intersex part is interfering with the genitalia and you can't actually make out whether the person is female or male from the genitalia, they operate on them, which is wrong, because you don't know what, and that's why I say leave kids alone. You don't know whether a child's going to be straight, gay, or whatever until they hit puberty and get through the puberty years and settle down. But they'll operate, and too many times the person will grow up and suddenly they find out that the male part, or usually it's the female part dominates. I'm unusual that the male part dominates, but that could be because of a treatment I was put on as a child. But you have to at the end of it is, and I'm not calling you Ronan, I'm not slating him, just saying look at the facts. But what it is, you're a parent, you've got a right to be absolutely concerned. And what concerns me more, I don't care whether it's trans, straight or not, I don't think children should be getting involved. The glorious days, Bobby, when we didn't know, we had to learn from our school friends on the ground, and you wouldn't believe them. That's how they.
Well, I grew up probably similar to you. Went to a comprehensive school, and I think we was about 12 or 13 before we had sex education, and it was based, and the majority of it was based on contraception.
Yeah.
And it was very vague. It was probably, I don't know, about 6 or 7 lessons, and that was it. You know about it now, away you go. It was very, but the beauty of that time is we were allowed to be children. Now they don't need things put in their head. Let them be children.
Let them be children. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's why I think if they want to, you know, it's important to recognise someone's sexuality, and if they're in need of it, you know, if somebody grows up to be 20, 30-year-old and they go, when I was, you know, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, I knew what I wanted. I will push the other way. It's important that person is not damaged, because they can be damaged at that age, but from that. And I think if they turn around the government, etc., and say, look, we need to educate the parents regarding this, how to deal with it, or there's somebody there like yourself running. If that happened to you or your child, you'd go, oh, there's a certain person at school I can go and talk to, and they can tell me how to deal with it and give me advice. That's how I think it should be done. I don't think it's down to teachers.
No,
to
I
tell
think
children. That's
it's
just
not,
my opinion.
And I don't think the vast majority of teachers want to, but at the same time, right, let's put it this way, and I've always say this, especially when sorry if I offend anyone, but we have labels we have to wear, so straight people can have labels. But you know, cisgendered people who go on about the children, they're coming after our children and all this. Well, LGBTQI people can have children of their own, naturally they can do. But it's not only that. It's the fact that you've screwed up your own children. I'm sorry to tell you, you've screwed up your own children, because I remember the time, which you will, Bobby, I remember the time when the idea of a girl getting pregnant at 14, 15, oh, God.
Do you know something? And there was one girl in our school, and I think she was 14 or 15, and it was back end of school, and she got pregnant, and I remember her being in the pottery class, and she's a really quiet girl, and all of a sudden she disappeared. That was it. And word got out that she'd got pregnant, and it wasn't spoken of. It was one child in that school, and it was really rare. It was rare. It just didn't happen.
But the thing is, when I'm pointing out there, people go on, you don't need anyone else destroying children. You destroyed that was unacceptable. Now, how do you go back to the old days when if a woman did that or a girl did that, it was shame, embarrassment. Oh, this was
out of wedlock. If you did anything out of wedlock,
this thing. So, and you hear them, and this still shocks me. You'll hear some, oh yeah, my Alice, she's having a baby, and Alice is 15, and it's like, why isn't Alice and a partner like in the past? Oh my God, this is wrong. Now that would have been. People don't understand now. That would have been absolutely horrific. It would have been put into care. The child put into care for having sex at that age. The fella would have been prosecuted if he was old enough to be prosecuted. And you see on the television these videos, and people letting the kids watch the videos for years of women twerking in front of a man, you know, like, oh, twerking, here we are. We know what they're getting at. And you see them, look at little Amy, she's 5 and she's twerking. Yeah, change that to a man in a dress twerking. And it's like, oh, our children, oh. It's total hypocrisy. I don't agree with either of children seeing anything like that. As I say, but we're in a different time. We'll never go back to the time.
No, I mean,
was all right.
I mean, we've got a good panel here, really. I mean, Ronan, you know, he might be thinking he's a different generation, is Ronan, and that's good because we've got a different outlook, a different view. Now, some people will be saying me and Anna, we're living in the past, whatever, because we're going back to how it was. But the world is evolving. It is moving forward. Like we said, the generation before us, it was frowned on if you had a child out of wedlock. You know, a kid was taken out of school if they were pregnant. Now, it's evolved from there, but I do think with all this business of educating children regarding sexuality, I think it's evolving far too fast, and I think you've got to educate everybody, all of us. We never stop learning as human beings.
No, we don't.
Even at my age, I'm 60-year-old, and I'm still willing to learn. You know, and
I think what it is, Bobby, we're in the situation, and that's why don't take away from this, Roland, that I'm saying, oh, how dare you, a hypocrite being concerned. I'm not saying that. I'm very, very concerned by things I'm seeing, and I think you have the right to be concerned, and you should be asking questions about this, because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and there is this making children again. Children are making decisions that really they haven't got the
Well, what I'll do is
can I just ask you a question, Ronan?
I'll verify that. I have to say this first. I'll verify that information, and then I'll come back on and say it, because you're right. You're 100% correct. That needs to be verified. I'm 99% sure that, but there's that 1% that you have said it. I actually haven't done that myself. I've seen that on a Rumble channel on Northern Irish guy. There was lots of people speaking about it, and there've been protesting outside schools with this information, but it needs to be 100% verified, and you're correct about that.
It's just that everything has to be questioned. If it's not questioned, we accept it as the norm. Now, do you find other parents at the school, etc., Ronan? Do you think they're accepting of the world as it is, or do you think they question it like you question it?
Oh, they're worse. They're worse than me. They're way worse than me. I'm actually I'm quite an accepting person. I don't really like confrontation too much, apart from when it comes to my son. But there's people out there that have told the school, like, you're going to have serious trouble in your hands if you teach any of this shite to my children. And they've listened, but it's not so much the Catholic schools, it's the integrated Protestant schools that it's because they're. And when it comes to the religious aspects of things, when it is like, we don't really have Muslim schools over here. We'll have, it's just either Catholic or integrated, and the integrated schools are Protestant schools, and it's happening in those schools. It's happening there because they're not. Whether you're for the Bible or not, or whether you're a Christian or not, doesn't make a difference. The Christian schools are sort of more, they'll just teach the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s. But when these integrated schools are teaching, they're teaching this crazy stuff. As I say, they have cat litter boxes. There's boys running about in girls' clothes. They're only 4 years of age. They've got global delay, and it's like.
But Ronan, Ardy, this from saying to you, have you seen this with your own eyes? Because I hear this, and I used to go 12. You say some cat coming out of here, but it's something.
No, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it with my own
eyes.
I
used to hear some.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Ronan? How do they deal with religious education in schools in this day and age?
Well, no. So you go in a Catholic school over here.
I know I know in Ireland you've got.
Hey, well, let him finish, Ronan. Uncle Bobby, let him answer, because you're jumping in when he's.
Yeah, I was just going to say though, I know it's different in Ireland to England. You've got politics involved with religion. So sorry, Ronan. Yeah.
Well, you have to understand that you have to differentiate between England and the UK and even North and South of Ireland. So over here, you've got integrated and you've got Catholic. There's nothing else. Like a lot of schools in England, it's very Islamic based. There's like Islamic schools and all this. We don't have this over here, even in the big cities. It's either Catholic or integrated schools. There's a few differences here and there, but mostly that's what it is. Now, with the religious studies, you're just taught from the Bible. That's it. You're just taught from the Bible, the New Testament, and you have maybe an hour a day in primary school where they teach you that, but the whole basis of what they're teaching you, the structure, is Christian, whether it be science, mathematics, handwriting. It's all Christian based. Now, if you go to an integrated school, which is a Protestant school, which is also Christian, by the way, but they're integrated. It's like not integrated, but what's the correct term for it? That's when you get the high school. Yeah, but intregrated's boys and girls. There's boys and girls both in primary schools if you're Protestant or Catholic. It's different. There's a different way of doing it, and it's crept into there, which is quite ironic, because they would be linked in with right wing. But even though the Protestant culture over here would be more right wing, it's crept into their schools, and the Catholic side would be more sort of liberal. They don't really have it in those schools. So, I know of one girl who's took her child from a school because she's involved with the social services. This girl has severe mental health issues. Her child has global delay, still wears a nappy at 5 years of age, and is going into P2. And she is this little fella. She grew his hair out and she puts on girls' clothes. And the school was questioning certain things to do with this, and she took the child out and she's took him to another school. And she's just going to have the same issue there again. I'm witnessing this firsthand, and she can't be questioned. And whenever they were questioned, whenever the school did question her, that she says, well, my child's protected under LGBTQ law, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And she was correct.
I think what it is, because that's how winding up now. But other I'll say on it, right. Again, I don't know about something I don't know about Northern Ireland. Remember, it still is very much, you'd always have Jesus said this. Usually Jesus didn't say it when they'd be arguing a point. But the upshot of it was, just to leave on a funny point, is that they used to turn around and say, oh, well, if you go to confession, that's all right. They go to confession. That was the most every week. Then they come out, commit the same sin. Then they go to confession, get forgiven. Then they commit the same sin. Then at the weekend, they come. So it's a very convenient religionist Catholicism, especially with the confession. And I used to laugh. I used to say, oh, my God, don't they understand that they're not supposed to commit the same sin? And my mum would turn around to me, oh, no, shit, if you go to confession, and I used to be laughing. So when I heard the Bible quoted, it's like, oh, come on, But yeah, I say we'll have to have another discussion just on this, because it'd be fascinating to have a discussion on this, because it is an important topic. And also, it's also like gets it into perspective. Because you can tell I'm more liberal. I mean, I don't agree with everything that Roland's saying, but I don't disagree with it. There's things I do agree with them on. But what I'll have to do, I'll have to bring it to an end now, because Video Craig is getting absolutely paranoid, because he knows I'm more popular than he is now.
He's playing with you, and he's playing with you.
He wants to play. Bobby, he don't give him ideas. He'd like to play with me, but he's not getting that chance. So
and he said to me, he said, I've met Anne, and she's a lovely person.
Oh, wait, call it when you can tell that from here. I'm lovely.
That's what he said. That's what he said. When I met him,
he's going to keep this going, right? Right. No, just let's end it here. One year, say one thing that you've ever thought that I've been a nasty bitch over. I knew it. You couldn't think of anything to say where I've been a nasty bitch. I'm lovely. I'm gorgeous. I'm fantastic. And Kelsey will back me up on that. So anyway, Roland, will you come on again sometime?
Of course, I'll verify this information, and then I'll come straight back on.
It'd be nice to readdress this. My dad used to say, never talk politics or religion, because there's never an answer. But I always say debate is great. So you've got to. And
as you get older, you realise you've got to let people have their opinions.
And it's like I said, Dan, it's nice to have Ronan here, because he's a different generation to us. He's more keyed up with younger people and what's happening in the world out there regarding schools.
And I'll just leave it at this, people. What Bobby meant to say there was that Anne and Ronan are both a different generation from him. That's what he meant to say. He got it wrong. He's got typo of the mouth. So anyway, my lovelies, thank you. And thank you to Kelsey. It's been brilliant.
It's been nice.
Hopefully I'll be on tomorrow taking the rib out of bleeding Video Craig. So until then, thank you for joining me. Bye everyone.
Bye, see you. Peace out.
Bye guys.
Thanks. I'll leave you all with this.